Well everyone, it's time for us to go ahead and compare the Samsung Galaxy Z Fold 4 against the Samsung Galaxy Note 20 Ultra and see which specific phone is the better one. Now I will probably tell you yes, the Z Fold 4 is the better phone, but the Note 20 Ultra, for it being the last Note phone, is still extremely legendary, and I think the whole entire Note lineup is just so awesome. And it's crazy because the Note 20 Ultra is probably going to be one of those phones that you could buy today and keep for the next few years, but we're in a very interesting spot because it has now aged up a little bit, so it's going to match in line with something like a Galaxy S20 series. But let's go and see which one is the better one. If you want to purchase either one of these phones, links will be down in the description. You can get them from there. You can help support the channel at the same time. Now, starting off with the outside of both of these phones, the Samsung Galaxy Note 20 Ultra had a beautiful, one of the best panels I've ever seen, 6.9-inch dynamic AMOLED display, and it's a 1440p panel. Now it's a 120Hz panel too, so this was amazing. I was super happy when they threw 120Hz on a phone like this, and like I said before, the fact that the Note 20 Ultra had this type of capability at this time is so awesome. It's easily one of the best panels Samsung ever made. It looks almost exactly like the S22 Ultra, so pretty much kind of the same type of vibe on the front, rectangular square type of design, which looked great, and that was an amazing thing that the Note 20 Ultra had going for it. With the Z Fold 4, we have a little bit of a different setup. So on the cover display, it's a 6.2-inch panel, so it's that main panel on the front. Pretty good, dynamic AMOLED, 120Hz, looks great. Now when you unfold it, that's the more important part. It's a 7.6-inch foldable dynamic AMOLED display. Now it's a 120Hz panel. The resolution of that is not 1440p. It is much higher at 1812 by 2176. So it's a very big panel for the most part with the high resolution, and I will still tell you the Note 20 Ultra panel is better. It is just a better, sharper looking panel, and with the Z Fold 4, I think it's a good panel too, but because it's the foldable one, they can't really do, I would say, as good of a job as they can do with the Note 20 Ultra. There's also no crease in the middle, but with the next few generations, there's probably going to be some improvement there, so I don't really want to hate on that too much, but definitely the Note 20 Ultra has a better display. Now we have USB-C ports on the bottom. The Note 20 Ultra, does have a microSD card slot, which is really cool. The Note 20 Ultra does not have any, microSD card slot, or neither does the Fold 4, so no big deal there. But they both support S Pen, but it's a little different. With the Note 20 Ultra, the S Pen is built into the phone, which is awesome. The Z Fold 4, on the other hand, the S Pen is not built into the phone. So keep that in mind, it's separated, but it still supports an S Pen, which is really cool. Now on the back, technically on both these, we have frosted glass backs, which is great, and we do have triple camera setups as well. Both these phones support wireless charging and reverse wireless charging. They have a lot of features, IP certification as well, but with those camera setups, this is where things get very interesting. So on the Samsung Galaxy Note 20 Ultra, we have a 108 megapixel wide-angle lens, 12 megapixel periscope telephoto lens, a 12 megapixel ultra-wide sensor as well. With the Z Fold 4, we have a 50 megapixel wide-angle lens, 10 megapixel telephoto lens, then a 12 megapixel ultra-wide sensor. On the front, 4 megapixel cover display camera on the Samsung Galaxy Z Fold 4, especially with the 10 megapixel wide-angle lens when it's unfolded. With the Note 20 Ultra, 10 megapixel wide-angle lens on there. Now, I've said this for so many years now since the original Fold, Samsung does not put their best cameras into their Fold or Flip lineup. They put somewhat of it's not a watered down camera, it's still a good camera, but they put their best cameras in their S and their Note lineup. Now they don't do their Note lineup anymore, so it's just their S lineup. So at this point, I would still say the Note 20 Ultra probably has a better camera than the Samsung Galaxy Z Fold 4, even though it's a 2-year-old phone. The main reason for that is with the Note 20 Ultra, that camera itself was amazing. That was still, like I said, one of the best cameras Samsung ever made. We had that 8K capability on the back, which that in and of itself, I've said this for years, future-proofs that phone like crazy. The fact that you can buy a phone like this and have it still supported, with a really good camera is very awesome. And honestly, if you compare this thing even with a lot of phones that just came out, you're probably still going to be getting a very solid experience. So personally, I think the Note 20 Ultra camera is amazing, and I'm a humongous fan of that camera. With the Z Fold 4, it's also a very good camera. 4K at 60, you have 4K at 60 on the front as well, which is nice. So it's not a, watered down camera. It's not like a horrible camera, but it's not as great as even a Note 20 Ultra. I personally, like I said before, I feel like, Samsung could have done a little bit of a better job at that point, but it is what it is. There's really nothing we can do about it as of this point, but it still would have been cool had Samsung improved their camera on their Fold lineup. So personally, that's kind of how I see this camera comparison going, and definitely the Samsung Galaxy Note 20 Ultra has a better camera here. Now, one area where Samsung actually, I would say where the Z Fold 4 is going to win at is with the software and longevity. The Z Fold 4 has the highest likelihood of, outlasting the Note 20 Ultra, and this is quite obvious. So that's a really cool thing. If you want the latest and greatest phone, you can go ahead and get the Z Fold 4. It's going to cost a lot of money, but you can go and pick it up and have a phone that's going to be supported for several years from now. So I think that in and of itself is really cool. I think had it been for the Note 20 Ultra, maybe it can last a little bit longer just because it is the Note lineup and it's the last one. But I guess we're going to have to see what happens in the future. But I personally like how the Z Fold 4 is still here. It's going to be supported for many more years to come, and it's really just getting started. Now, next up, we do have the performance segment. Now, I will, preface this whole thing saying the Note phone is a 2-year-old phone, so it's not going to have the best chipset like the Z Fold 4 has. The Z Fold 4 has probably the best chipset you can buy right now, which is really good. With the Note 20 Ultra, we had that Qualcomm Snapdragon 865 chipset inside of it, which was great, but we had 12 gigs of RAM on each of the models except for an 8 gig of RAM bottom tier model, which is very interesting. With the Samsung Galaxy Z Fold 4, we have that new Snapdragon 8 Plus Gen 1 chipset inside with 12 gigabytes of RAM on each model. Now, I will say the Note 20 Ultra is still a very good performing phone. This is still easily one of the best performing phones you can buy, and like I said before, I've said this for years now, the Note 20 Ultra is still a very fast, very good phone. It's not slow, it's not anything like that, and that is something that I really do like about the Samsung Galaxy Note 20 Ultra. Even though it is 2 years old as of this point, it's not really super slow, which is something I really like seeing. I've done tons of gaming on this phone, I've done tons of different little tiny things here and there, and for the most part it's been fast and good. The only thing that's even kind of limited in it is if you're trying to play like super high intensive games, then maybe it can go and take a little bit of a toll just because it is a little bit of an outdated chipset, but you have a ton of RAM in it, and I think it's a great phone still for the most part. But the Z Fold 4, there's really no competition here. This is probably one of the best phones you can buy in terms of just the overall just fluidity, smoothness, and that chipset and RAM combo. I mean, that is probably one of the best combos you can get in some sort of phone like this. Personally, like I've said, it's a very good phone just from that standpoint, but also the fact that it's a big panel. I'm sure if a lot of you are gaming or anything like that, you're going to have a really good time with a phone like this, and I'm actually really happy about that. So I think with a phone like the Z Fold 4, very good performing phone, one of the best ones, and I think I'm just a huge fan of the performance of that phone. It's been holding up very well in that performance standpoint. Now finally, with the battery life, this is where things are very weird. The Note 20 Ultra has a bigger size battery than the Fold, 4500 on the Note 20 Ultra, 4400 on the Z Fold 4, and I feel like this is another case where Samsung could improve the Fold phone's battery life. I do understand they have to do like the split battery life, like one on one side and one on the other, but I still think Samsung could be doing a much better job here, mostly because the Z Fold 4, I mean, it's a big, massive, thick phone. Unfolded, it's not as thick, but it's still a big phone. So I'm hoping Samsung, I want to see like an 8,000 mAh battery on the Folds or something crazy, I feel like Samsung could improve the, specific battery life of the Folds. I feel like that's the one area they can go and improve on a lot more on, but I don't know, maybe the Z Fold 4 has better battery life in some areas, but I feel like the Note 20 Ultra may be the better one. It's a smaller panel, and if we're comparing brand new phones from both sides, the Note 20 Ultra is probably the better one here. So in terms of everything, I will say if you are talking about getting a phone today and you plan on upgrading for the next 2-3 years, maybe the Note 20 Ultra is probably the better phone here. I think this one is much cheaper, so you can easily just buy it and not have to spend a bunch of money on it. It is a very beautiful phone, better display on the Note 20 Ultra, maybe better camera on the Note 20 Ultra as well. It's a cheaper phone, really good performance. I think the Note 20 Ultra is a very solid option. The Z Fold 4, I think if you have all the money in the world, then definitely go for it. If you have a Note 20 Ultra, I probably wouldn't go for the Z Fold 4. I'd probably go for the S22 Ultra, to be honest. But I feel like the Z Fold 4 is a very good phone. You can't really go wrong with it. And it's probably one of the best phones. That phone has a really good camera still, really good display. Folding thing is really crazy. Decent battery life for the most part for how big and crazy this phone is. It should be better, and probably the best performance you can buy in a phone right now. So in terms of that kind of covers it up. If you have any other thoughts or questions, please let me know in the comment section below. Hit the like button, that would mean so much, but definitely hit that subscribe button. More importantly than everything else, I love every single one of you guys. Hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out till then.